So without further ado, welcome to this latest in our series of, what do we call it? Meet the Wedding Vendor series. And I'm so excited today to have Jenn Engel of the Barn at Stoneybrooke here with us. So many people talk about making relationships with venues and working with venues. I hear a lot from both sides as far as positives and negatives. And today we're really going to get in and learn more about one specific venue. So the things that we talk about today might not apply to all venues and all relationships, but I think for the most part, most things do. So this is a really, really important one. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Megan Hoffer, lead photographer and owner of Megan Hoffer Photography, a wedding photography business, and also founder of Lancaster Photography School, where we provide hassle-free photography classes for individuals who are interested in getting started in portrait and wedding photography. So we're very excited to be offering these free series of talks to anybody who has an internet connection. And without further ado, let's meet Jenn. Hi, Jenn. Thanks for coming today.
You're welcome, Megan. I'm glad it's finally worked out for us with our crazy schedules.
So true. So what made you want to be a wedding venue owner in the first place? So I also know this is not your only business either. I didn't know that at first. So let's hear that story. How did you even get into it?
Well, we'll start back with the third business. We live on a farm. I married a farmer in 1990. Oh my gosh, when I married, 1998. Sorry, we moved here in 2000. So I've lived here on the farm for almost 25 years. And so we started out farming. My husband was in construction, and he, in 2008, we purchased a construction business. And so doing interior trim and kitchens. And my husband did that. And I was at home and worked in the office some. And we had horses here at our barn. And it was just not a really financially viable business. So we had gone to a wedding at the farm in Eagles Ridge, which is a beautiful venue. And we decided, I love people. My husband's in construction, and we could go into this industry. And I had done a lot of events in the past. And so it's a natural fit for us.
Yeah. How intimidating was it to start the process of changing your home? So your venue is your home, correct?
We live about 50 feet from the venue. Before that, we always had people here, whether they had cows or they had horses. So weddings, and we don't have bridezillas, but our brides are it's a much more exciting and fun option than horses. So pretty exciting. It wasn't a hard decision for us at all. My husband and I are very adventurous. So we decided, probably not knowing as much as we should going into it. We did do our market research. We did our financials. But we sort of jumped in and did really well because we're a very relational couple. And I think we met a lot of vendors early on that had been in the business before us. Different venues I reached out to were super helpful in talking to us. And we jumped in with both feet and started off with 18 weddings our first year. Started construction in January and had a wedding June 3rd. So,
wow.
Yes, pretty crazy. And but as you've gotten to know us over the year, we are always challenging ourselves for new adventures, and we just keep busy.
And I have to tell you guys, they improve the venue every single year. Like every year I come back after the winter, and there's something new and amazing about this venue. It's just, they never stop improving. They never stop serving their clients better and better and improving everything every single year. And they're just such a great couple to get to know personally as well. I feel blessed to call them friends at this point. But so on a different note, what's stressful about owning a venue?
I think and I will tell you, I did promise my husband that I will do no new projects this next year. We are going to take a year off. It is our 7th wedding season. So we decided, rather than break up with the wedding venue, we were going to take a year off projects and just enjoy our couples. Probably the most challenging part is I'm 50 and just keeping up with the long wedding days. I have an amazing team that works here for our venue. We have coordinators. We do in-house coordinating. I have a great setup team. I will say, it grew pretty organically by mostly people that we know that work on our staff. I'm pretty particular about who works here for me.
How many coordinators do you have at this point?
We have 6 coordinators at this point, and we have 13 assistants.
Okay. That's amazing. And
So
they're all lovely. I think I've worked with everyone at this point, haven't I? Is there somebody new this year that I haven't maybe worked with? Or
Brittany is coming on. I'm not sure if she was an assistant. Usually they become an assistant before they become a lead coordinator.
yeah,
So
they're
actually,
all amazing.
you met her at the wedding, probably.
Yeah.
Our
Jen's son just got married on June 30th. And of course, the wedding was at the venue, and I was blessed enough to be the photographer. So it was a really beautiful day.
It was an amazing day, and we're so thankful to have you there and be part of it. Megan is not only one of our preferred vendors, but she is also a dear friend and part of our family now. And that relationship was it developed through our wedding industry.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get into that. We'll definitely get into that in detail. Well, maybe not super detail, but we'll talk about that too. So like when you think about your weddings, you said you started with 18 your first year, which is incredible. What's your ideal number at this point? Do you have an ideal number, or is it just as many as you can pack in?
Well, I mean, our biggest year was 2021, where we had 91 weddings. And after that year, we did, that was an exhausting year. We backed it down to 75, and then this year 65. And I think 55 would be a nice number for us. We are not doing any huge projects anymore. So we feel with living here that that's a nice number for us.
Yeah.
I think it's realistic,
Yeah.
and it would be good for us to be around there.
Yeah, yeah. I've found that too. I think we all did some year where we maxed out and burnt out a little and like, okay, I think maybe next year won't be quite the same, and that's okay. Do you think that would be different if you didn't have the other businesses? Do you think that you would push for more, possibly?
I don't, just because we live here. And
Yeah,
so we learned that, when you have 200 guests and vendors and everyone being 50 feet from the house, it's just nice to have the peaceful, quiet farm. We love our couples. We love having people here, but we just want to have a little bit more of a life. We're, like I said, we're in our 50s, so we're at a different season than some venues. We're not at the starting off stage where we have so much capital involved. We're at a little more flexible stage where we can, live nicely and do it with less weddings.
yeah, absolutely. And it's more of a personal touch at that point too. You're not just
Mhm.
factory cranking them out. So you really do get to know all of your couples, which is really lovely. It's one of the things that I love most about working with you guys is that you can see how much you actually care about all the people involved in the day. And that's really important to me too. So it's really incredible to get to do that with you as well, because well, you'll catch us both in the corner, like in certain parts of the day and like, we really let the day touch us personally every single time. And you don't get that not with every wedding venue. And it's neat to see that even after all these years, you still truly care about every single person that comes through.
I love when we're on the dance floor and we catch eyes, and I'm times, and so we've done those moments.
Yes, yes. So can you take our photographers here through the inquiry process? So how do people inquire with you? How do you handle that process? How do they select you as a venue, and kind of what happens from there? I feel like that could be a different process than what we do. And I think it's good for us to know what other vendors kind of go through in the process of working with the same clients.
One thing we are is very, very transparent. So I have my pricing, our availability, everything I can possibly have on our website, because I feel like that just takes some of the inquiries away that we do not have the dates or we're completely out of their price point. We get our leads through 3 different ways: Wedding Wire, The Knot, and our website. So we get inquiries. I eventually take all of the inquiries. I direct everyone through our website. So if they go to Wedding Wire or The Knot, I send them information on those two platforms. However, if they want to schedule a tour, they have to come to our website and schedule a tour. We use something called Acuity. It's really great. I can put my available times, and then I have learned over the years to not jump when everyone says if they want to do a tour at 3 p.m. and somebody wants to do 5 the next day. I've just learned these are my available times, and I've learned to direct people into those areas. Of course, we're flexible if somebody's coming from out of town or something like that, but I really try to have a balance of personal life as I'm managing the inquiries and things like that. I'm so sorry. I have a text there going on. And then Once they get into our website, our system, we send out our preferred vendor list. So every bride that contacts us, we have a preferred vendors list that they send out. So for Megan, even if they don't go any further with our venue, they might also contact Megan and use her because they heard about her through us. So, we want to promote our vendors, even if people don't book with us. And so after that process, they schedule a tour. We do about a 30-minute tour after they've had all the information. And then I follow up with a week later. I'm not a really big, I don't have too many touches after the tour. I have one or two, and then usually they contact me and would like to book a date. So
Yeah.
it's pretty simple with that. I keep all the information within 30 minutes. And like I said, I send all of that out as well when they schedule a tour. I really send them a lot of information beforehand.
And a lot of things that you said are very similar to my process as well. I'm big on send more information than just send it all. Send all the information. I don't want to waste anybody's time any more than I want to waste my own time. So I just think it is really helpful to just send all the information. The availability calendar is really, really helpful as far as, they can at least check ahead of time to see if you're available. And especially for those dates, when it comes to you scheduling the tours, it's kind of like us scheduling the engagement session. It's similar in that, I really would like this time. I'd really like this time. It's really nice to be able to, my availability is listed on the website. Tell me which date you would like. And it's just black and white. I will say one thing that's different about you that is different from other venues that I work at regularly is that you don't schedule tours normally. There are always exceptions, but you don't normally schedule tours on a wedding day. So at most venues, while people are getting ready, there are people coming through and touring as the couple's getting ready for the wedding day. And I love that you don't do that. So how did you come to that decision? Because I think it's awesome.
Well, I do, when I'm not coordinating a wedding, I do tours in the morning from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. We are one of our hard lines for the venue is that arrival is at 11. So we say, we explain to our couples, your arrival time is 11. We want the day to be completely yours. We will, and I feel very strongly about not bringing people in while they're getting ready. I think it's their time. I think it should be private. So I think I've done one in probably thousands of tours where they were from out of town and the bride was a friend and let me bring someone through. But we really think it's important to value the bride's time, the couple's time there, and to keep it safe. So no one is allowed to come on the property from 11 to 11 unless you're part of that wedding. You can't stop in quickly to see it with your parents. We don't allow that. We do it kindly, but we do tell them they can't come and we do send them away.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think it's amazing. And then what happens? There's a process that you go through preparing for the wedding day. So it's usually many times you can go many months without really having that much contact with them. Is that right?
I can go years because our couple sometimes book 2 to 3 years out. And so other than me following them on social media, I mean, some couples, they email a lot more through the process. They have more questions, but sometimes after our initial booking, which could be 2 years out, I won't hear from them until January of that year. I send out a vendor form to ask who their vendors are, to get all of our information that we need, insurance, certificates of liability, all of that fun stuff in January. And then we talk to them about the process. And then about 60 days before, we meet them and we do a final floor plan timeline and just really get to know them and dig into the details.
Now, if they're not local, are you able to do that type of meet and greet online? Is that not ideal, or how does that go?
Well, I mean, you know me, I'm a relational person, so I do not love to do the Zoom meetings. I actually, our other coordinators usually get those. It's amazing. I have had maybe one Zoom ever out of all my weddings. Jeremy and Leanne always get the Zoom meetings and they're great. They set all this stuff up. Yeah. But generally, we really encourage them. We try to find a way if they're out of town to come back to town. If they're coming back for a bridal shower or something like that, we schedule it to make it work. And otherwise, we do it on Zoom and we send the documents back and forth.
Yeah. Do you ever have brides that try to change details at the very last moment?
Again,
you can just say yes because.
I mean, we really try to keep that a minimum, which is why we meet 45 days before, because a lot of the decisions are done at that point. Yeah. I don't usually invite questions to change things at the last minute. So I don't go over the final details saying, hey, is there anything you want to change? We don't open that to them. Of
Smart.
course, if they need them to be changed.
So when the photographers arrive on the wedding day, it's usually when they're starting to get ready. You know, they're kind of arriving. We're doing the detail photos as they're kind of hanging up their dresses and getting things. But we kind of forget sometimes that lots of other things are happening behind the scenes. So can you kind of give us a picture of what the actual wedding day looks like for the venue staff? So kind of like well, while you're doing details and doing all those pictures in the bridal suite and with the grooms and groomsmen and things like that, we're actually doing X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
You think you can talk through that for us?
Sure. So, I mean, arrival time's 11 for everyone, vendors, bride, couples, everything. So generally we're greeting the vendors as they come in. We're greeting the bride and the groom and the couples and helping them get set up, helping them find cups or things like that they forgot. Just sort of being hospitality to them when they first come. We're also, as a day of coordinator, we do a lot of the decor here at the venue. So we are setting up the tables, putting out the decor and doing those kind of things.
Now, was there a reason why you chose to have coordinators in-house versus just having them, like requiring them to hire a coordinator? Because lots of venues do that. They require it, but you know, it's just hire somebody from outside.
Right. Absolutely. So at first we didn't require that at all. You rented the building and that we did one wedding like that and it did not go well. So we love things to go well. And as I said, I have a hospitality mindset. So I love people. So for me, it was a really natural fit for me to start coordinating the weddings. So we just automatically said, hey, we're going to include that. You know, we feel it's a really great perk. I think a lot of people book here because they're saving $1,500 to $2,000 to $3,000 and having a day of coordinator. So, that was it. And we loved what we were doing and we wanted to spend time with our couples and get to know them. And we wanted it to go well. And we felt when we knew all of the details of the day and we're making it happen that we could control that.
And, you know,
so
from my perspective, it's amazing when the venue has their in-house coordinators because, you know, you ask those silly questions that if you haven't been there before, how would you know? You know, like, well, where do the vendors eat? I hadn't thought of that. I don't know. Let me go find out for you. And it's nice that you guys just, you know, right over here. And this is how it works. And this is how the flow goes. And here's the best place over here for this. And it's really nice.
We've had some outside coordinators at times. It has not gone really well. So we really encourage our couples in that. And as you know, one of the things that we do when our vendors come, if they're new vendors, we show them where our little refrigerator is with the waters. We talk about them and what time, when they will eat dinner. We always like to get our vendors through the line fast so that you can eat a little bit and relax a little bit in the bridal suite. We don't believe in the vendors to last at the dinner. So that is something that is important to us as well.
Again, one of the only venues that I know of that has a fridge of waters that we can have. Like, that's so great. Thank you.
Keep you hydrated, no passing out.
That's right. Okay, so while we're kind of getting ready, you know, everyone's getting dressed. You guys are checking in on everybody and making sure everybody's, you know, finding the cups, finding the things they forgot. And then you also have people setting up tables for the most part and doing decor, correct?
Correct. We have our assistant that does that.
Okay. And ceremony wise, that seems pretty obvious, but
generally we have everything preset before everyone starts the day. So we have our table set up with the right number of chairs. We have the ceremony chairs set up. So we're not moving those kind of things unless it's a rainy day. But generally putting signs out. We are not florists, so we don't attach things to our pergola, but we are sometimes placing flowers. We're placing decor. We're placing the guest book, all of those detail shots. We as a venue try to get that ready as early as possible so that you can do your detail shots. I mean,
detail shots. Yep. I call them detail shots. Yep.
Not gladly. So we try to get ready so that we all can get that out of the way because we know it gets crazy once the action starts.
That's true. And then you bring the bride out and place her train and things like that, just like most coordinators would, and help direct people all day long. So I feel like one of the big differences between what the photographer experiences and what's important for the venue, in my perspective, and having done this a bunch of years, is that you're also more in tune with the guests than we are. We are so focused on the couple, the family, and the wedding party, and then the other vendors that we have to work with, that like we tend to I hate to say it, but kind of look through the guests sometimes. And you smile and wave and you smile at them, but like we're trying to get over here because we have to take pictures over here. And for you, the guests are a huge part of the day, and they have more experience with you, I think, than with us sometimes. Is that true?
I would say so, yes, because we are the fun people that are always telling them where to go. So we are them around. We are telling them to not smoke. We are taking their drinks that they've spilled. So yeah, we as a venue, we try to interact with our guests. We're always about, again, building relationships. As you build relationships with them earlier in the day, as you need them to help you do things, moving around, getting out of pictures, doing these things, that they tend to react a little bit better with you.
Yeah. And then when it comes to the reception, I feel like the DJ for the most part runs the flow of events, but how much say do you have in moving things around if they need to? Do you feel like it's more the DJ, or do you guys step in more?
It is the DJs know that we direct that timeline. So as long as they're following the timeline that we have all given them. So we, as you know, we send out timelines to all of our vendors. I have learned to tweak when the photographers need a certain amount of times. That's really important to us. So I generally do a flow. The photographers give me the details where you want to be. But as far as reception flow, the DJ does follow the flow that we have already determined.
Okay.
If something, generally the bride will come to us, and then as the coordinator, we will communicate with all the vendors. Now, sometimes they will come to the photographer or the DJ, and then things get a little crazy. So, as a vendor team, we try to make sure we're all communicating if things change.
And then when things are happening throughout the day, you're also trying to kind of like clean up other areas, because you might have another wedding the next day, right? So there's parts of the day where you have somebody maybe in the lower level cleaning that up while the partying is happening upstairs. And I feel like that happens at most venues, like wherever they got ready needs to be cleaned up and kind of prepared. And it's just kind of a flow throughout the day of like cleaning up after these people as they move from space to space, right?
Yes, it is. And our barn, we have a lower level. So when the groomsmen are done, we do have them pack up their items. So at the end of the night, they can grab them off their carts. So we do have our assistant who is coming behind them, cleaning those areas, just making sure that they've not left anything, that everything's organized and ready for them to go at the end of the night.
Yeah. And what time do you guys end at the end of the night? Do you have a hard end time?
We have a very hard end time at 10 o'clock. And a DJ not help us with that hard end time doesn't generally come back.
That's right.
We do it at 10 o'clock, and our guests do get on the buses at 10.
Now, is that a personal choice, or is that like a noise ordinance kind of thing that has to happen? Probably both, right?
That is a noise ordinance from our township. So 10 o'clock is when the noise needs to stop. And we have learned that the party will move out into the parking lot and be loud. So that is why we have the hard end time. And though we live in a rural area, we do still have neighbors. And our community has been very supportive of us having weddings and never complains. And so we try to honor that and end at 10 o'clock for them.
Yeah, I feel like it's unheard of to have neighbors as close as you do have and not have them constantly complaining. So that really speaks to you guys as people and how much you do follow those rules, and as a respect for all the people involved. So that's really amazing.
And before they moved in, they did know they were moving into a wedding venue, and we were very clear. I'm all about expectations. And when we communicate our expectations clearly, whether to our couples, to our neighbors, or our vendors, things tend to go better.
Absolutely. Amen. Expectations are so important. And then at the end of the night, how hard is it getting people to go? Now, and also, do sparkler exits help or make it harder?
I love exits. I love sparkler exits. Again, some of our coordinators do not like 200 people that have been drinking with fire. But I love them because we can get them, out the door. It helps to get them onto the buses. So when we have a wedding that doesn't have an exit, it's a little concerning to us. Sometimes it is a more challenge to get people to get on the buses.
And so everybody has to kind of take their stuff with them when they do the exit, right? And is that like the DJ helps with, like, make sure you bring your things with you? I mean, how much do people actually bring with them to a wedding day? I mean, right? So
generally the things that are left are family members. And so what you're all understanding is when we're out there doing the sparkler exit with y'all outside, the caterers are starting to clean off tables, flip chairs up on there. They are ready to go at 10 o'clock. So we really try to, again, have the DJ help us move with that. It's a big team effort to get them out the door.
Right, because we're all trying to go home at the end of the night. So how long does it take to clean like what time does everybody leave? Because for us photographers, as soon as that sparkler, that last kiss happens at the sparkler, you're like, bye, and getting in
You
the
know
car.
that. Packed up.
So
Usually we're done at 11 o'clock. So we have from 10 to 11 to get everybody. I mean, every now and then we'll have a wedding that has excessive decor or something excessive, but generally by 11 o'clock, I'm walking into my house.
and then for all that decor, does somebody from the family stay behind to get it, or do they pick it up the next morning? How does that work?
Everything goes out of the building that night.
Okay.
So before we sometimes have multiple weddings. So
Mhm.
the next morning, 6, our cleanup team is here, and we know no one's coming at 6 o'clock in the morning to get their decor.
Right.
So we'll have a family member's vehicle that we will pack for them, and they will usually come and get a little bit later.
Okay, that's interesting. I never really thought about that piece of it. That's
Mhm.
definitely, yeah, that's interesting. So
Yeah.
what's your favorite part of the wedding day, personally? Like, what do you actually like look forward to the most?
I love when my vendors come. And we get to see each other. But okay, so for the couple, I would say once they go down the aisle, there's just an extreme release of stress and happiness when they go down the aisle, because no matter what else happens after that, they're married. So that joy of seeing them walk down with their dad is my favorite part.
Oh, I love that.
I know it's the he sees that, but I get to see it. That is a special moment for us right before we send them down the aisle. Just that moment, the two of them and us, and I love that.
Yeah. I love how you guys fluff the dress so that it's perfect before that long aisle that you have available to them, which is amazing because you get so many shots as they come down the aisle. Some aisles are so short, and we love that you have such a long aisle. And their aisle has hydrangeas almost halfway, these big hydrangea bushes. So it's easy to like hide behind them and not get in each other's shots for like second photographers and things like that. There's just so many really neat little details about the barn at Stoneybrooke that make it so unique and amazing. So, especially the flowers, right, Jen?
You know, I love my flowers.
Yes, you do. So what is your least favorite part? Like there has to be at least some part of the day that kind of you're like, oh, I don't really want to do this. What would that be?
Cleaning the toilets at the end of the night. So there is no royalty here. I clean the toilets and do everything that I ask my team to do. So at the end of the night, we clean the bridal suites and the bathrooms just to make sure it's nice and shiny for the next day for the wedding. So that is my least favorite part.
But see, I love that though. I love that you have to clean the toilets, but it's just it's humbling. People think that just because you're a venue owner that, you are up on this high pedestal and, you get your hands dirty just like everybody else. And you're right there in it with everybody else too. So I love that. Do you have a cleaning staff though in the morning or something?
I have a setup that comes and they do the main cleaning, the resetting of tables and chairs, the multiple moppings of the dance floor and those kind of things.
Because that's a humongous floor space to have to clean. That's just
It's so large.
what is the square footage and how many people do you fit in the barn?
Barn is about 5,000 square feet in the upper level, and that 4,500 feet of that we mop, and our maximum capacity is 200 people.
Okay, nice.
Unless royal wedding of our family, which was 210.
Of course. Do you remember how we met? It's been a while. Has it been 6 years?
It was 2000, the beginning of 2018, I believe, in the winter.
Okay.
March.
Yeah.
Because the photo shoot was not pretty outside for the landscape.
That's
However,
great.
your picture. So it was in 2000. I think it was 2017 or 18. Late 17 or early 8. No, you know what? It was 2017.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it was 2017. And then I had my first wedding there the next year.
With Kristen Miller.
Yeah.
Or Kelsey. Kristen or Kelsey?
It was, Kelsey was first, I believe. No, Kristen was first. Oh my gosh. It's been too long. Don't ask me these questions.
They were 2018. We know that.
Okay. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So we met basically me and 2 other vendors, a makeup artist, Andrea, and a hairstylist, Whitney of WB Upstyles. We were planning on doing a giveaway shoot because we were trying to promote ourselves early on in our careers. So we kind of got together and we all liked each other's vibe, like I liked Andrea's natural makeup, and she kind of chose Whitney because she has like 55,000 followers and her hair artistry is just so unique and awesome. So we asked her to get in on it, and we're still like the best of friends to this day too, and Jenn too, which is really cool because of this shoot. So we decided to do this giveaway. We asked people, the typical giveaway where it was like all of our pages, share the post, and comment something. I don't know what it was, but it was just a way for us to get our names out there and spread the word about our new businesses. And we did a giveaway shoot, but we didn't know where to do it. We wanted it to be at a wedding venue, if possible. And Andrea, I think she went to the same church as you at the time, right? So
Correct.
They went to the same church, and she said, "Oh, I think my friend Jenn just opened this wedding venue. Let's see if we can hold it there." So she contacted you and you okayed it. But we didn't know it was just going to be a couple shoot, like kind of like an engagement shoot was what we were going for. And Brescia and Bobby were the winners, and she didn't have the best experience with her wedding photographer back in the day. So she was like, "Can I get back in my wedding dress and have him wear his suit?" And we were like, "Yes." And so it turned into this styled shoot. I went to a local jeweler and we got this crazy, amazing jewelry. We had the cupcake place come and do like these desserts. It like really turned into a styled shoot, not just a giveaway. It was like this incredible thing. And I met Jenn on the shoot that day for the first time. I was pregnant too. I was pregnant with Rita at the time. That's
And
right.
Caroline there as well. We had that beautiful couch. Do you remember that beautiful? Yes.
Yes, that's right. Oh man. And then after we all met and we got along so well, what did you do? You invited us?
All came to our first open house. And I still remember clearly you walking across the parking lot with, I think it was Stanley and this baby belly, and set up your little table. And the brides loved you when they met. That's when I think you booked your first two weddings there at our open house.
Yep. That's when I booked Kelsey and Zach from that. They booked me for an engagement session first because they knew I was newer. So they just wanted to do the engagement session first just to make sure they liked me and that they liked the photos. And then they booked me for the wedding after that. And the rest is history, really, when you think about it, right, Jenn?
Yes, it seems like we've known each other forever, but it's really only been 6 or 7 years.
Yep. So we've definitely developed a really close friendship just from that moment on. We got along really well. And would you say, so at what point did you actually put me on your preferred vendor list? Like, when did you go about curating and like creating your very first list of vendors? Because it's hard in the beginning because you don't know many people yet, right?
Right. Yes. I mean, there was some trial and error in the beginning. Some people have moved off that list. Some people have, how I make a decision now, then was a little bit differently. Then if I liked someone, I thought they were great, I saw their work, we put them right back on. Now it's a little bit different. Now that I've been a little bit more experienced as far as photographers, I mean, I have to love your work, but I really have to love you. There has to be a connection. We have to be enjoyable to work together. So, and that is how I have determined the preferred vendors that on our list. They need to have a great, price for their quality. They need to have great quality, and they need to honestly be fun to work with. We want to find joy in our day. We spend a lot of time together. There's a lot of stressful situations where we have to work through things. And for me, that was one of the most important things. How do we work as a team?
Yeah.
So if you're not friends, don't communicate.
That must be very hard to have to remove people from the list. So we don't have to talk about that.
It was.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Well, you're just you have so much integrity as a human being that you don't just pluck people off. You actually have a talk with them about it. And I think like that shows, I think, your integrity so well, just because, you let them know, because it's something they can learn from. And rather than just letting them go on thinking that they are still on the list and why am I not booking, then they know. And I think that's really, really cool. But my gosh, that
And
must be so hard.
I've not done that perfectly all the time. I've learned through that on how to handle that a little bit better sometimes.
We all learn through our trip ups and fumblings and things like that. So I've definitely learned a lot from you, and I've always really looked up to you as a person and a business owner. So I've always really appreciated your almost mentorship and your friendship, of course. So
And it's fun to do it together with others now.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm really excited for you to be here today for everybody. Just looking, I have a list of questions I wanted to make sure that I got through, but I think most people are most interested in this whole preferred vendor list thing. So how would you say, so we talk about the preferred vendor list different places. Like I have a preferred vendor list too. So we talk about the wedding industry as the food chain, which I hate talking about it like that, but it's very true though. It's more so the process of who do the clients book first. So obviously they book the venue first because they have to book the venue. And then, then it's a matter of who do they book after that. So typically they book the venue, then the planner sometimes, and then usually the photographer. And it's kind of and the caterer. So the venue, the caterer, the photographer, and then from there, it's kind of hit or miss, whether it's florist, DJ, and makeup and hair, things like that. So kind of like venue and planner are what we call the top of the food chain. So if you're on one of their preferred vendor lists, it's really, really beneficial to your business just because getting those referrals at least guarantees they're going to look at your business. They might not choose you, but they're most likely going to look into you. So I mean, being on your preferred vendor list was a huge catapult in my success in my early career. And I have so much gratitude to you for that. But it really was by chance that we met. And I would say that I think it helps when you're meeting another venue, another vendor, that you're on the same level of experience. So yes, you can get on a venue's preferred vendor list late in the game, for sure. But if you're a newer photographer, meeting a venue when they're first opening and learning, getting to know them, making sure you actually enjoy their company and, support their business and their business practices and all of those things, that is just so incredibly awesome. Don't you think, Jenn?
Absolutely. We certainly grew together.
We did.
We did. And as you said, being in the same mindset of business practices and levels of integrity are really big things as well. And it's great for me because as a venue owner, I am working the weddings. So I meet you. And so again, other people are, I don't know how other vendors and venues decide who goes on the preferred list, but for us, it's about the relationship. Others, and like you said, getting in there sooner when we were all new and trying to figure it out was really good.
Yeah. At this point though, how would somebody go about finding themselves on your vendor list? If you're pretty, you don't really make it. I don't know. Will you put as many people on your preferred vendor list as possible that you like, or do you keep it to a certain number?
I mean, I don't really have a number. I mean, photographers are 7 to 8, maybe. I like to have a variety of styles.
Yeah.
So your photography is my style. Do I have some more of the different styles on there? Yes, I do. I have a couple little different personalities. That's important, but 7 to 8 photographers is where I tend to stay. Now, if my photographers are all starting to say, "Hey, I'm doing less weddings," then I need to look at expanding that list a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
sure.
One thing we do is on our website and on our blog, we put everyone's pictures. Everyone that sends us pictures, photographers, we will put that on and identify you so that as future couples do go through and look through that, if they see a style they like and want to use that.
Yes, even if you're not on the preferred vendor list, as long as you're sending the pictures along, you're going to find yourself to your website, which is really beneficial.
Yes. And that is something why I think that you grew very quickly here as well and helped our business grow, is that you're so generous with your pictures. You're so generous with tagging and us being allowed to share. And that helped promote both of us by, how often you posted and the skill set you have.
It still blows my mind that it's hard to get pictures from photographers, and that's still the case, right?
I think I shared with you that we had a photographer. We have a contract that we ask our photographers to sign. Mostly it's so if you trip and break something that you don't sue us, but there is something sharing your pictures with us. And she was going to said she would charge me for pictures of the couple. And I very kindly told her, thank you. We have a lot of great photographers that are willing to share it, and we promote both. It's a win-win for us. We both promote each other rather than I'm not going to pay for images. So that was really important too. So as photographers, as you share, obviously tag the venue, but they will share your information, your pictures, and that will get your name out there by their future brides even.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just as simple as just sending the gallery along. Like, that's all you have to do. Just send the gallery along. Like, even if you don't have their email address and don't have the time to look it up on their website, which you should, but you can just take the link and send it in a DM on Instagram, something, just find some way to get the pictures to the venue, or at least, post a ton of them and tag the venue so they can at least share it or something.
Megan, how you send your pictures as well and your gallery is very simple. There are some platforms that are not as easily for maybe the non-tech savvy venue owners to do. And so the way you have it set up and the program that you use is very easy compared to others.
So for anyone listening, I use Pixieset is my gallery of choice. And then when I send the gallery, I send it with an email that, thanks everybody for their work on the day. And of course I share the download pin so that the vendors can also, and I send a separate email. The couple obviously gets the pictures very first, but then just right after that, I send all of the images to the vendors as well as one email, thanking everyone for their part in the day, because, I can't take beautiful pictures without these beautiful things in them and everyone's hard work. So I think it's my duty as my part in the day as part of the team to send the pictures on. But I also add a list of all the links of, the copy paste for people to tag all of the vendors, because most of the vendors don't know who all the other vendors were, and that's okay. So when I send the gallery, I also send a list of the vendors involved so that they can literally just copy and paste to their posts. So it's just more of a chance that everybody gets tagged, and, people get their feelings hurt if they don't get tagged, so it just makes it easy for everyone.
That is so helpful.
Yeah. So are you willing to take a chance on a newer photographer at this point? So if someone was newer, how do you think that they should go about, getting, I hate to say getting in with, but, creating a relationship with a venue at this point? Like, what are some things that a newer photographer could do, I guess more so to prove themselves that even though they're newer, they are going to do an excellent job and that you can trust them? Like, what ways can they show you that they can be trusted with the job?
I have to be honest, that is a hard question, because I generally will have to do a wedding with you. So if you come and you happen to do a wedding here, because we have tons of different photographers that do weddings. I'll be honest, generally for me, I have to have worked with you before I would add you to the preferred list. And that is challenging and that is tough, but I've had people do great sales pitches, have great items that they sell and do a horrendous job. And for me, when I'm giving out that preferred vendor list, I'm giving you my reputation. So I'm very protective of my reputation. So that is challenging for new photographers to get on there. I would say the biggest thing would be get into the industry, get out there and have brides love your work and bring you along with them.
Yeah. I love that. So you've often said to me personally, when we're talking about things and talking about wedding days, you'll say like, Megan, you don't understand. You do things so much differently, and that's not the norm, which is really kind of you to say. But can you kind of talk about some of these types of situations where, different business practices that I have? I know we already talked about photo sharing, but are there other things that you could bring up that would help people that, you've always said like, well, this makes you stand out in the crowd because you do X, Y, Z. Can you think of anything off the top of your head of those types of situations?
Well, I mean, I think one of the things is being able to run your timeline for your pictures.
Mm.
So we know that, we have a certain block of time and you're coming at 1 o'clock and we have to have everybody down the aisle at 4 o'clock. I personally don't like to micromanage your timelines, telling you that you need 15 minutes to do this and you need 7 minutes to do that. And I don't like to have to be there standing watching over you to do that. So I love when a photographer takes leadership within the bridal suite with their pictures. I feel as a coordinator, I shouldn't have to say, okay, well, you did these pictures and now it's your turn. Okay, now we're going to do this and now we're going to do that. Now, of course, we are going to touch base with you. It's time for first look. Some of those strategic where we need to move from room to room. But having you have the ability to be able to keep the bridal party on timeline is very, very important to us.
Yes, and that's a matter of people management. It's not about being a skilled photographer. It's about being able to speak to, interact with in a fun, exciting way too, so that you're not being a drill sergeant all day too. So, yeah, that is a tough situation. How about timeline? Because I know I provide you guys with this extensive timeline. Is that typical that the photographer like kind of provides some kind of timeline?
Generally, I mean, I love that you have Teresa send us out a timeline ahead of time. And we take your timeline, we integrate it into ours. If we ever have any hiccups, we discuss that. We work out those, we need to adjust. And it's generally, we generally adjust to your timeline because we know that you're a professional and you know what time you need to get done. A lot of photographers do not. A lot of being responsive to our emails and texts. I know everyone is busy and we're focusing on the wedding of the week. However, I don't love when a photographer doesn't give me the timeline until the day of and they want to change things. So communicated timeline and being in agreement on that is very important. And that is one thing you do well.
Thank you. Thank you. Speaking directly for you, directly to the photographers listening and who this will be listened to by in the future, like what would be the overall takeaway advice for you as a venue owner to photographers of the next generation? Like overall, here's the advice that you would like to give, kind of the do's and don'ts of from the venue's perspective, do this, don't do that kind of stuff.
Okay. One thing is number one, be flexible and be a team player. So there are things that happen throughout the day. Rain can really change it up. Learn to be flexible, learn to communicate with the coordinator and the venue and not go around us through the bride. So that is, really important. So we need to be on the same team and on the same page as we make decisions and do things throughout the day. If you take furniture and you move it, put it back where you got it from. Some of those kind of things, being conscious of the property. Please don't put your bridesmaids in the flower bed. Please don't put 15 bridesmaids on the back of a couch where they'll break it. Some of those things, just like honoring the property and being respectful of that, are important. Again, this is a little thing, and you probably know this now. I look at how photographers handle after they eat dinner, what they do with their dishes. Do they just leave them there? I mean, sometimes we leave them there, but it's nice to be asked. What would you like me to do with this? Hey, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it, or the caterers will take care of it. And for me, it's a respect thing. Just again, teamwork, respect. How can we work together? How can we serve each other to make the day go well? Because we're all serving the couple.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Again, it comes back to teamwork at the end of the day. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have that you want to speak up for at all? And anyone listening, are there any questions that you have for Jenn? Please feel free to chime in. How about you, Jenn? Any ending thoughts?
No, I mean, I really just think that as we're doing this, we are here for the couple. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's not about the venue. It's not about the photographer. It's not about the florist. It's about making the couple's day being the best that it possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Having that service mentality, the heart of a server. We're there to provide people with a day to connect with each other. It's probably the only day that all of their favorite people and people that mean the most to them will be together in one room, and kind of honoring that and respecting it and appreciating it and capturing it for us.
And sending it to us. So thank you.
Yes. So, Jenn, thank you so much for your time today. We greatly appreciate you for taking the time to speak with us today and being so flexible with your time, and really appreciate being able to fit this in finally. um, as far as ending, is how can our listeners find more of the Barn at Stoneybrooke in their lives? How can they find you on social media, website, those kinds of things if they want to start following along with the Barn's story?
We are at the barn at Stoneybrooke.com, on Facebook, the barn at Stoneybrooke. I can talk well. And then our website is the barn at Stoneybrooke.com. So we've kept it pretty consistent. We're not super creative in those areas. We depend on our creative friends to help us with that. Thank you so much for inviting us. And it was great. I'm so glad it finally worked out. And I'm sure we're going to catch up a lot more next week.
And if you guys have any questions for Jenn, feel free to pass them along to me, and I will pass them along to Jenn, and we will get those answered for you. We all want the best for our couples and the best for the wedding industry as a whole. So if there's a question you have, we are happy to answer it. I also offer shadow opportunities to come and shadow me on a wedding day. So if you can find one at the Barn at Stoneybrooke, it's a really incredible opportunity to learn from me and Jenn at the same time, because we both and all of her staff are incredibly supportive and are happy to kind of give you the real talk behind everything and not just ignore you all day or anything like that. So, it really would be an amazing opportunity to shadow a wedding at the Barn at Stoneybrooke. So you can find those at LancasterPhotographySchool.com and look at the calendar, and you can find those shadow opportunities there along with lots of other classes. So hope you enjoyed this, and thank you all for your attention and being here with us today. For those of you who couldn't make it live, I'll be happy to email this replay to you directly to your inbox, and hope to see you at the next one. Thanks, Jenn, and thanks everyone for being here. Have a wonderful night.